The warning of George Orwell is immortal. In the year 1949, when he had originally published his novel 1984, he had one specific goal in mind: to send a warning to the people of the world. That if the people of the world allowed the world to continue on the path it was set on, it would end up a world much like the one depicted in the novel 1984. A place of dystopia, darkness, deception, and injustice. Even in the present world, his message remains definitive and immortal. The seeds of dystopia have been planted within our society through authoritative, social, and personal means. This has been made clear through the non-consensual spying of civilians by government organizations, the discriminatory abuse of power by those that are meant to protect civilians, and the developing lack of public free-thinking mindsets paired with the belief that there is no public power. The non-consensual spying of civilians by government organizations is a very strong example of a seed of dystopia in our society. The greatest example is the NSA, an American government organization that had the primary goal of protecting American citizens. The primary issue with the NSA is that an individual named Edward Snowden, that used to work under them, released a classified set of information to the public. This revealed that the NSA practiced widespread spying through electronics on many American citizens that did not have search warrants placed under them. This invasion of privacy is strongly linked to the thought police and the telescreens. The telescreens were used to spy on civilians of Oceania and can be further described through this quotation. Winston turned a switch and the voice sang somewhat, though the words were still distinguishable. The instrument, the telescreen it was called, could be dimmed, but there was no way of shutting it off completely. Should the NSA ever develop a mentality like that of the thought police, in which they believe it is okay to use these spying methods to hunt down, torture, and kill civilians that they simply think are out of line, this will certainly grow the seeds of dystopia within this world and will bring this world closer to one of dystopia and darkness. The discriminatory abuse of power by those that are meant to protect civilians forms the base of power abuse within a dystopia. The examples in line here are the various examples of police shooting and brutality that have been happening in the past couple of years. The most prominent example of this is the George Zimmerman case, in which an individual named George Zimmerman, a neighborhood watch volunteer, murdered an innocent individual named Trayvon Martin and got away with it. He did not receive jail time for his actions and was not held accountable for them. This is highly comparable to the thought police, people who have the power to kill, torture, and brainwash civilians, and are not only not held accountable for it, but are actually rewarded for it. This is further linked through the following quotation. The most gifted of the proletariat, who might possibly become a nuclei of discontent, are simply marked down by the thought police and eliminated. If such blatant disregard and abuse of power is not punished, or at least shown to be unjust and unfair, the seeds of dystopia within this world will certainly grow, and will allow unjust power given to select few. The lack of a free-thinking mindset and the belief that the public has no power is an event that has allowed, initially, for the seed of dystopia to be planted within society. When people do not practice a free-thinking mindset, and when they believe they have no power, they tend to deviate important things that in reality do give them power. Things of knowledge such as world news, local news, and social events, or very important things such as votes towards bills, towards writing elections, and towards prime ministers or presidents. When this happens, a small group of people are able to control this entire mass. This is very reminiscent of the Proles from the 1984 novel, a group that does not realize its own strength. This can be further explained through the following quote. But the Proles, if only they could somehow become conscious of their own strength, they would have no need to conspire. They needed only to rise up and shake themselves like a horse shaking off flies. If they choose, they could blow the party to pieces tomorrow morning. Surely sooner or later, it must occur to them to do it. When a government is founded on the basis of by the people and for the people, it is clear that the people are the ones with the most power. But when they do not believe they have any power, it is very easy for a group of upper class to control and dominate the masses. When this happens, laws and rules are passed that do not benefit the people, and rather benefit that upper class. And this, in the first place, is how the seed of dystopia may be initially planted within a society. Through the developing lack of a public free-thinking mindset tied to the belief that the public has no power, through the discriminatory abuse of power by those that are meant to protect civilians, and through the non-consensual spying of civilians by government organizations, the seeds of dystopia have been clearly planted within our society. The warnings of George Orwell do not entail simple death, destruction, and murder, but something far greater: a humanity with no freedom. A human cannot be a human without human freedoms. It can only be called a slave. And a world of slaves is truly a world of dystopia.